We are live. Welcome to 2025, everybody. Good to have you here. These monthly live stream Q&As continue until eternity. All right, we already got some questions in the chat, I see, and I've got plenty in this document here, so let's just jump right into it. First question from the chat. Dopamine is released in anticipation of intimacy. During intimacy, neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and hormones, oxytocin, vasopressin, should be released. If these neurochemicals besides dopamine are not firing during intimacy, do you know why? Can you recommend any resources that explain why and how to fix this specifically? Lots of info about dopamine out there, but not others. That's a complex question, and I don't know how you would know that those neurochemicals are not active in your brain when you're intimate, except maybe for how you feel. And that's where neurology and psychology intersect. And I'm not a research scientist, I haven't studied this myself, but I would imagine, my educated guess, is that psychology might have a lot to do with the release of these different neurochemicals during intimacy. The more into your partner you are, the more love you're feeling, the more of a lot of these neurochemicals are going to be active in your brain when you're sexually intimate. If it's maybe a casual sex partner, someone you don't really like, but you're just sexually attracted to them, and it's more like masturbation just with someone else's body than real lovemaking, then you might see a profile of neurochemicals more similar to masturbation, which generally lacks in oxytocin and some of these others, and it's more of a dopamine-centered activity. And that's why neurochemically, like in your brain, you might feel differently after having amazing sex with a partner that you love versus after having an amazing masturbation session. You know, it's an orgasm, yeah, in both cases, but it's not the same in the neurochemical profile of what's actually happening in your brain because it's not the same in reality, and your brain, your body knows it. I read in some diet book that when we are on a calorie deficit, men are less fertile because the body uses the resources meant for mating on survival. I'm wondering if this is contributing to my never-ending and worsening flatline. I lost 60 pounds of fat. I'm fit, but flatter than ever. Have you heard of any relationship between flatlines and dieting? Any anecdotal evidence you have come across? Anecdotally, like you said, we know that men who are in a calorie deficit tend to have lower sex drives, lower testosterone levels. And that might be the case if you're on a pretty strict diet with pretty strict calorie deficit. Maybe your body's just not in the mode of reproduction. It's in the mode of hunt and gather. And I imagine your strict diet won't last forever. You'll reach a weight that you're happy with, and you'll maybe increase your calories, keep your exercise up, and not be trying to lose weight anymore. Maybe at that time, your flatline will end. I can't say that I've worked with a lot of people who are in that exact position of trying to be on a more extreme diet of calorie deficit while going through recovery and experiencing flatline. But that does make sense to me that it might be exacerbating the flatline symptoms. On the other hand, there are people who are not on a diet or a calorie deficit who experience flatline for many months, even a year or more, and it has nothing to do with their diet, at least supposedly. So could be either one. If you'd like to talk to me more and give me more details, I might be able to give more insight. You can learn how to work with me in the link down below, of course. But 60 pounds of weight loss is a huge accomplishment. Congratulations on that. And it sounds like you've been porn-free for quite a while as well. So you're really turning your life around. And yeah, might not be getting the rewards that you want immediately with the libido coming back, but it definitely sounds like you're on the right path. Hey Noah, it's been more than 100 days since I stopped watching porn, but today I ejaculated by watching my wife. I just touched my thing and it ejaculated. I'm not feeling like watching porn or anything, and I'm getting more and more attracted to my wife. Am I going to fall into that trap again? Please tell me. It sounds like you're getting exactly what I imagine you set out to do, to regain your sensitivity, to regain your attraction to your real life partner. Maybe you've gone into the zone of being a little bit oversensitive, but that will probably remedy itself as you become more accustomed to regular sexual intimacy again. And are you going to fall into the trap of porn use again? It's always a possibility. That's always on the table. That's what people who have been addicted and are addicted to porn have to understand, is that your brain is always going to be ready to re-invite pornography into your life and into your neurological wiring. And that's just something you have to be aware of. It's a danger you have to be vigilant about. It doesn't have to consume your life. You're not doomed to fall off that cliff. Just like hiking on a steep trail with the cliff to one side, you're not doomed to fall off. People do it all the time and they're fine. As long as you're aware of that danger and you're not drunk, you're not closing your eyes and walking blindly, you can stay on the path and you can be all right. But don't get complacent. Quick question. I lose my erections in about a minute or two if I don't keep myself constantly stimulated. I've had a PMO addiction for 8 years. Did you face this when you were addicted? I doubt this may be my heavy reliance on PMO, but at the back of my mind, I have a fear I developed a venous leak. Did you face this when you had this addiction? Currently, I cannot afford a Doppler test to get any answers. I would be grateful if you answer this question. So, yeah, being only able to maintain your erection if you're having constant either physical or visual stimulation is definitely a symptom of a level of PIED. And it's on a graduated scale, right? It's not you have PIED and you're completely flat down there, or you don't and you have no problems. There's a lot of gray area in between. And in that gray area is where guys have difficulty maintaining an erection in certain positions, if they're standing, for instance, or if they are not receiving constant stimulation. And so that's a normal thing to go through as you're recovering, and it should get better and better over the months as you continue your recovery journey. Could you have venous leak as well? It's possible. Just from what you wrote me, I don't think that it's necessarily likely. I don't know how long you've been porn-free. That would inform the advice that I give you as well. If you've been porn-free for 3 years and you're still struggling with this, then I definitely recommend, find a way to prioritize getting that test done. But if it's been a month, 3 months, 5 months, it's totally normal to still be struggling in that gray area, not all the way to your full potential yet. While talking with my girlfriend on the phone, I get an erection. Is that going to affect my recovery? That sounds great. That sounds like a positive sign. Just hearing your girlfriend's voice, connecting with her on the phone, and you are experiencing a physical reaction to that. That's a great sign. A lot of guys on this journey would love to be in that situation that you're in. Now, if you're maybe long distance and you're intending, like you're chatting sexually with the intention of mutual masturbation, or you're sending masturbatory material between each other, and you get into that habit, that can lead into dangerous territory because you're still getting off to a screen by yourself. But there's plenty of room in that gray area, I think, for it to be healthy to receive some sexual excitement from your partner through a device, especially if you're just hearing her voice and you're just talking. But I hope that you are able to be in person as well and rewire in person, because that's going to be the most helpful. But I wouldn't worry too much if it's just happening accidentally sometimes that you get excited while talking with her on the phone. Hey Noah, if you see this comment, please answer. 8 years of consistent porn addiction and 5 years of consistent masturbation addiction 2 to 3 times a day. If I quit now, can I completely recover? If so, how much time is required? Thanks in advance. The timeline question. I get it very often, as a lot of you guys might know. Of course, people want to know how long is this going to take. What I tell them in general is that most people, if you are able to stick to the guidelines, be completely porn free, not still be engaging in porn inspired fantasies or using porn substitute material, most people experience significant progress within 3 months and full recovery within 1 year. That is a very general timeline, however. For me, I did fit into that timeline if I didn't end up relapsing at the end of my first year being porn free. Of course, that throws a wrench in things. If you relapse, then the predictions all change. And I had underestimated my own addiction, and that ended up happening to me back in 2014. But if I hadn't done that, I was well on track to be on that timeline. I was able to have sex for the first time just below 3 months and was having really good sex like 8 months in, and it was becoming more and more consistent before I gave in to my addiction. 8 years of consistent porn addiction for you. For me, just speaking personally, it was like 15 years of consistent porn addiction, and I still fit into that timeline. So just based on that, I don't see any reason it won't apply to you as well, but everyone's an individual. Some people just take a lot longer, and we don't always know why. Some people recover a lot quicker. We don't always know why. If you'd like to get a more accurate prediction, I'll need to know a lot more details about you. Again, you can check out personal coaching with me in the Linktree link down below. But you can completely recover in terms of sexual performance and sexual health and the ability to enjoy real sex, as long as you don't have some other physical ailment going on that you haven't told me about. But at the same time, can you completely recover as if you had never seen porn at all? Not necessarily, because your brain is not going to forget. That wiring for porn is not going to completely disappear. It will go dormant. It will become something that doesn't control your life, or that isn't in the forefront of your desires or your thoughts or your feelings, but it's still there. And it can easily be reawakened and reactivated if you go back to porn or any similar behaviors. So that's why I answer no to that question. Can I completely recover when we're talking about addiction? I see addiction as something that is lifelong, in the sense that that wiring for those behaviors is still in there. Doesn't have to control you, doesn't doom you to relapse, but you have to be aware of that danger. And you probably won't be able to have a healthy, moderate relationship with pornography use like someone who never got addicted might be able to do without inviting major consequences into their lives. Hey Noah, I'm 6 months porn free, but I'm not fully cured. In the month of August and September, I got morning wood, not regularly, but weekly. Nowadays, it doesn't exist. And at one time, I had sex with a girl and penetrated, but I suddenly got my orgasm. I talked to my girlfriend on my phone. I'm lying on bed, getting an erection. Is this going to affect my recovery? Is this the same guy? I'm not sure. Sounds like you've seen ups and downs. You were getting morning wood, now you're not. But you're 6 months in. It is totally normal for 6 months in to still be experiencing those ups and downs. Maybe you're in a flat line right now. It's totally normal to experience premature ejaculation because your body is kind of in a new state. It's unused to going so long without sexual stimulation or orgasm. Used to getting that probably several times a week or every day. And it's kind of getting used to this new state of being, and it's totally normal and to be expected that your body might react in ways that you're not accustomed to when you are trying sex during this time of recovery. But as far as I can tell from what you told me, you're 6 months in, you're on the right path. Don't worry too much about little things like getting erect when you're talking to your girlfriend on the phone, and continue forward and openly communicate with your partner as well. Strip clubs is the whole question. Depends on how you use them. Give me more details. What is your exact concern about strip clubs? And then I'll answer that. Hey Noah, I was working night shift 10 till morning, 6 o'clock, no sleeping. Will this slow my recovery? If you're able to get a healthy amount of sleep in the rest of your day, then probably not. But if your sleep is significantly impaired, sleep is critically important to the body's ability and the brain's ability to heal or recover from anything, to keep a strong immune system, to stay healthy in general. So, yeah, it's likely that some level of sleep interruption or insomnia might interfere with this process, might make it longer. It shouldn't completely stop the process on its own. It shouldn't prevent you from still getting closer to your goal of being porn-free or recovering from PIED, whatever your specific goal is. But yeah, sleep is important to all aspects of health, and it will affect how quickly your body and brain is able to adapt to this new porn-free life. I can't decide what to do. Whenever I think about sex, I have intense performance anxiety. Would it be bad to stop thinking about sex or looking at girls before I get married? Or would that be worse for me? Sounds like maybe you're someone who has decided not to have sex before marriage. In that case, yeah, in general, you should probably be focusing on the rest of your life as much as possible, since sex is off the table for you until you get married. But if that's not the case, and or you're already engaged or already with the person you're going to get married to, in that case, I recommend having very open communication with her about your fears, your anxieties, your experience in sex and sexuality. And that's the key thing. That's the one most important thing that will help with performance anxiety more than anything else, is having a partner who has been informed about what your fears are and your whole history, and is understanding and supportive, because then the pressure's off. You don't have to keep up a facade. You don't have to meet expectations that are out of bounds of what you think you're capable of. She's patient, or he's patient, and you can take your time and just get comfortable and let it happen in its own time. I have a lot more tips about dealing with performance anxiety. You can search my YouTube channel here or my website for how to overcoming sexual performance anxiety is the name of that video. And in it, I talk a lot about rewiring. And I talk about, yes, communicating with your partner, but also other tips for how to keep yourself relaxed, because that is the most important thing in performance anxiety, is, of course, finding ways to relax, to follow your desires, because anxiety and fear are going to get in the way. Absolutely. Even if your body is completely capable physically of having an amazing sexual experience, maintaining an erection, performance anxiety can be that last obstacle between you and enjoying that intimacy. I had to, most people do, who have developed PIED. It's hard to separate future experiences of sexual intimacy from all those past experiences where it felt terrible, you were embarrassed, you were ashamed, you didn't know what was going on. All those emotions are going to now be bundled up with the expectation that sex is a possibility. And that's just something that you have to slowly separate and disentangle. The best way to do that is to embrace the truth of what your real experience is and be open and honest with your partner. Regarding strip club, I feel like it's a shortcut to getting erections with a human female while removing the screen and porn. Yeah, with strip clubs or with any type of sex work, I do get this question with some frequency. Is this going to help me in my recovery to move away from screens? It's a real person in front of me that I'm getting excited to. Is this helping my rewiring? And it's a gray area. I tend to try to steer people away from it because, yes, it's not a screen, but now you're rewiring your sexuality to a transactional relationship. And it's not really, there's no emotional intimacy. It's not real courtship. It's not how real dating and relationships tend to work. And I ultimately think most people are doing themselves a disservice by relying on this for their rewiring, relying on paid sexual services for that rewiring process, because you're rewiring yourself for something that is not what you probably hope to bring into your life, which is a transactional intimate relationship. It's like you're playing a lot of basketball in order to train for soccer. Like, yeah, you're still using a ball and you're running around, but soccer is going to feel pretty alien still once you've trained yourself to play basketball. So I won't say that it's absolutely off limits, only you can decide what's right for you, but it's not something I generally recommend or think is particularly helpful. Hey Noah, hope you're doing well. Quick question. I lose my erection in about a minute or two. Is this the same guy? I'll send me the same questions multiple times, or maybe these problems are just that common. I've had a PMO addiction for 8 years now. Is this my severe dependence on PMO? Okay, yeah, I think this is the same guy. Does relapsing once or a few times over a month lose all the healing from before, or you get free from PIED, have a relationship, and God forbid after 6 months you relapse once or a few times, are you back to day 0 of PIED recovery? No. It's definitely, the way that I see it, the metaphor that I use is like you're recovering, you're hiking your way towards recovery, towards being fully healed. You're walking to the east. Every day you get, 10, 15 miles closer to your goal as you're hiking along to the east, that eastern promised land of freedom from pornography and being able to trust your erections again and being able to enjoy sexual intimacy. And a relapse is like hopping on a bus that's heading west, and maybe it goes 100 miles west in a day or 200 miles west in a day. If you've been walking for 3 months, you've walked a lot further than 200 miles. And so it doesn't bring you all the way back to square one, but it is bringing you backwards faster than walking forwards day by day is bringing you forwards. And that's the way that I think of it and I explain it. So the sooner you can get off that bus, the better you'll be. The more close to your goal that you'll still be in, the less work you'll have to redo, the less time you'll have to put in to get back to where you were and beyond. So don't think like, oh, I'm on the bus, I relapsed, I'm back at 0. I might as well stay on the bus for a few more days, enjoy just not having to walk every day, which was hard. No, the sooner you can get off that bus, the better off you'll be. And if you stay on that bus for long enough, of course, you might even be past where you started when you first started walking. You might escalate even deeper into pornography use, into more extreme genres, and you might be in a worse place than you ever were before. And I could definitely see that happen. So get off that bus as quickly as possible. Don't worry too much. What's done is done. Learn from why that happened. Try to change your approach or your environment or your support system in order to prevent that same thing from happening in the same way again, and keep walking east. I stopped the habit for a month, and now I ejaculated after urinating. Will this disappear with time? Yeah, like I was saying before, if your body is unused to going prolonged periods without ejaculation, some strange things can start happening. I would wonder if you're fully ejaculating, like having an orgasm after urinating, or if it's just like some seemingly seminal fluid is coming out after you urinate. That would be more expected, and that's something that I've heard before. If you want to, of course, you can still masturbate once in a while. If you're worried about this, you can schedule it once a month. Masturbate not thinking about anything or looking at anything or imagining a realistic intimate scenario, the kind of which you will want to have in your life in a healthy way in the future. You can search this YouTube channel for Is Masturbation Healthy or Not for more guidance on that if you choose to do so. Or you can just keep celibate and not masturbating, not ejaculating, and your body will adapt. You might have wet dreams, it might happen on its own at night. You might be very sensitive or have premature ejaculation if you, get excited when you're on a date or something, or dancing with a woman. That could happen. But either way, you're going to be okay in all likelihood. If it gets worse, or you start experiencing other symptoms, of course consult with a doctor. But if it's just some seminal leakage after urination, I wouldn't worry about that too much at this point. Around 60 days into the reboot, after being flat the whole time, I had some urges and started to feel attracted to women. I thought this was my libido returning, and this was the light at the end of the tunnel, but I shut it all down and resisted the urge to rewire, as I was aiming for 120 days. This lasted 7 to 10 days. Now I'm over 130 days in and flat as a board again. I feel like I'm on the highway driving forward, but I missed my exit ramp, and now I have no clue when or where the next exit ramp will be. I know the answer is to keep waiting. I have a solid foundation, focus on the rest of my life, and the flatline ends on its own or with a nudge, which I tried and it had no impact. But I'm wondering if I made the wrong move. I felt like the signs were there, but I stuck to my guns only because I wasn't at 90 days. I want to ask you, should I have attempted to rewire at that time? Is that return of libido after a flatline a time-sensitive matter? You can't go back and change the past, of course. You had your eyes fixed on the prize of a certain day count. What I caution people about is not to be too focused on a certain day goal, and to more be able to listen to your body and to your mind and to your emotions to tell when you're ready to take the next step in recovery, like starting to rewire. So yeah, if you'd been my client back then when you were feeling your libido stirring again and you had the opportunity to rewire, I may have counseled you to go for it, see how it feels. But you can't go back and change that now. It doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck in flatline for the rest of your life. It's not your last chance. It sounds like you did try to nudge your sexuality back into being awake, and that didn't really work. You might just need more time. That's fine. You're 130 days in. That's just a little over 4 months. That's a totally reasonable period to still be in a flat line. It's very common. Give yourself more time. And the next time your body is telling you, hey, I feel ready, I feel like it's time, then yeah, if you have the opportunity, I would probably counsel, go for it, as long as it feels right. And of course, it's best to be able to go for it with someone you have openly communicated with and who knows what you're going through. But that's up to you. Those decisions are your own. I just want to offer you hope that I don't think you missed your one and only chance to rewire and to get your libido back. How do you get over the shame of being a virgin? Society pressures men to not be virgins, whilst simultaneously pressuring women to keep it. It's pretty stupid, but it's the way it is. Yeah, I feel you. I myself felt that same societal pressure when I was younger. And, I wasn't able to really lose my virginity until I healed from my PIED, and I was 24. That's pretty late. I had tried sex earlier when I was 18 and in the intervening years, but wasn't able to because of PIED, and that definitely harmed my self-image, harmed my feeling of self-worth. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. But the truth is, society doesn't know shit. You're the only one living your life, and you have to take ownership of who you are and the truth of your own history. And as long as you are refusing to internalize that shame and you just accept yourself, most people around you who are worth anything are going to follow your lead in that and still have respect for you, especially women that you meet. As long as you own it and you're honest about it, and I would go back and slap myself as a younger man and tell myself this same advice if I could. Like, don't try to hide it. Don't try to pretend to be more experienced than you are. Just own it. That's what being truly strong and truly being strong in your masculine is all about, is accepting the truth, not being ashamed of it, accepting all your flaws, and moving forward with strength regardless of all that, and accepting of all that, not trying to hide from the truth of your own life. And a lot of women are going to have a lot of respect for that. They're not going to think less of you because you're not a virgin. They might even, or because you are a virgin, they might even be excited about it because like, oh, like I get to be his introduction to sex. And a lot of women would find that exciting, especially if you are not timid about the fact that you are a virgin and you just accept it. That's going to help you more than anything else in life, is to set your own frame for these things. Don't just allow society to tell you, oh, you're less than because you don't have a job, high-paying job, or you're less than because you are of a certain height or a certain ethnicity, or you're not fit enough, or you're not big enough, or you're not thin enough, or you are not sexually experienced enough. Do not let society set that frame for your life. You set your own damn frames, okay? Hey, Noah B. Church. I was wondering, I'm on day 25 of no porn, and for some reason I feel terrible. I feel fatigued. My anxiety is up, and I feel like I'm just stuck in a big brain fog, and I can't find joy either in my life right now. Could this be from porn withdrawal? And if so, how long can withdrawal last? Thanks. Feeling like shit on day 25 of this journey, totally normal, totally to be expected. That's right in the withdrawal period for most people. And yeah, withdrawals can ratchet up your anxiety, your stress, your insomnia, your even physical symptoms like headaches or flu-like symptoms, brain fog, absolutely, anhedonia, and unable to feel joy or pleasure in things in your life. That could absolutely be from porn withdrawal. And withdrawals tend to last up to 60 to 90 days. There are like post-acute withdrawal symptoms that can be to a lesser degree of what you're experiencing now, but for a longer period of time. People do experience that, but most do not. So don't worry about that until and if it happens. For now, just know that you're far from alone and that this will probably pass in its own time. Just keep your head down one day at a time. Do what you know is in alignment with your values and keep moving forward. Keep walking to the east, as we were talking about earlier. And if you want help and inspiration in that process, I highly recommend you consider joining a support group. Could be the one that I run, could be a different one. Porn Addicts Anonymous is a free one that I believe has online meetings. Or look into the one that I run, which is $40 a month. We have 3 meetings a week. Most people come to 1 or 2 a week. And it's a chance for you to connect with other people on this same journey, make friends there. A lot of people become friends, accountability partners for each other, even meet up in real life. It's a really strong community where you can find a team, and it's a lot easier to do this journey with a team than on your own. So learn more about that from the link tree down below. I have a sex doll. After ejaculating in it, I don't feel the classical weird crash. It's weird, like I'm cheating the inbuilt anti-masturbatory mechanism. I think it's a good step in quitting. Yeah. Yeah, I've, like in that article and video that I mentioned before, is masturbation healthy or not? I said, if you are going to do it, it's helpful to make it feel as realistic to penetrative sex as possible. And you could do that with lubrication and gentle manual stimulation, or with a sex toy like you have yourself. It's not like the end all be all. Of course, it's not going to be a complete rewiring hack necessarily. A real woman is, of course, very different from a sex doll, but it's not necessarily unhealthy. Good morning, Noah. Hope you have a nice day. Thanks, my friend. Yeah, I hope the rain stays away. Buddies and I are going to go out and play some disc golf after this. What can be done with premature ejaculation when recovering from PIED? So I have a video and article all about this. You can search the channel or my website for it. But some quick tips are, number one, it helps if you are able to talk with your partner about this. I know you're probably tired of me saying this, but open communication is going to help more than anything else. Number two, it's all about calm, being able to be relaxed. and being able to be in tune with your body. If you're keyed up, if you have high anxiety, that's more likely to push your body to orgasm quickly, because it's telling your body like, hey, this isn't a safe situation. So we better fertilize this female and get our eyes back to the dangers surrounding us as quickly as possible. But if you're relaxed, your body doesn't get that message. You're able to take your time and enjoy the experience more. So staying relaxed is key, and staying in tune with your body. Being able to sense when you're starting to approach that edge of no return and stop, take a break, stop moving around, take some deep breaths, talk for 30 seconds or so, and then get back into it. And the next time you're getting close to that edge, stop again, take a break, calm yourself. And once you do this a few times, you might find that you reach a more sustainable plateau. There are more tips in that video that I mentioned. You should go watch it. How can you get your sexual energy back after having PIED for many years? It is a natural part of us. It's part of who we are, and it's an extremely important part of who we are as humans. It's not something that you necessarily need to take direct control of and bring back. You just need to create the right conditions for it to come back to the surface. Those conditions are, of course, being porn-free, giving yourself time to heal and resensitize, and then putting yourself in situations that are arousing to you in real life with a real partner that you're attracted to, and, of course, paving the way by having some open communication with that person, being able to be relaxed and just follow your desires with them, and your sexuality, your sexual energy will most likely come back all on its own without you dragging it back. Just create the right conditions, give it time, and it will come back to the surface, and you can get to that point where it feels natural again. Or for the first time. Hey Noah, I'm relapsing every 2 weeks, and sometimes weekly. I'm binging 1 to 2 hours. I'm in a flat line. When I watch porn, no erection. If I start to touch myself, an edge, it will get erect. Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of in the depths of a relapse cycle, and maybe you're no longer using it every day as you maybe used to, but that cycle of, relapsing once a week or once every 2 weeks and binging for a couple hours and doing so even when you're in a flat line, even when you're not getting an erection very easily, even with porn, that's right there in the addiction cycle. And it doesn't mean that you're hopeless. Plenty of us have been there for a long time, years even. You can get free, but doing like you're doing in that current pattern is not going to lead to recovery in terms of your sexuality and your erections. You need to be porn-free for much longer. Give yourself the opportunity to reboot in order for that to happen. And so I think that you should be thinking less about sexual recovery right now and thinking more about how can I design my life in such a way as to strengthen myself against the power of addiction. Addiction is about offering you an escape or an ability to medicate yourself when you are not fulfilled in your life or when you are feeling emotions that you don't know how to handle in other ways. So you need to be learning how to handle life without relying on an addictive substance or behavior. You need to learn how to process and handle difficult emotions like stress and boredom and anger and loneliness. You need to figure out what your real needs are in your life in order to actually feel fulfilled and feel a sense of purpose and a sense of alignment with who you are, and start inviting that into your life. That's a big part of what we focus on in that group that I run that I mentioned. A model for checking in that's optional, but that a lot of people use. It's called the 6 Ps, where we bring you through different aspects of your life that are all important in recovery in order to build an amazing life so you're not feeling the need to medicate yourself with the addiction. Part of that is having purpose and feeling like you are in line with something that's meaningful and bigger than yourself, and you're able to work toward that, and that you matter, and that the things that you're doing matters. And passion, having hobbies and interests that you're engaging with in your life. Maybe it's playing sports, or maybe it's learning an instrument. Maybe you're part of a band or something. But having passions in your life that occupy your mind and your attention and your energy so that you can be thinking about that rather than thinking about those porn scenes that you don't get to watch anymore. So you got work to do, but you're far from alone, and there's a lot to hope for. How can I get more attuned to my body? Practicing mindfulness meditation is a great way to start. There's plenty of help out there, YouTube videos or apps that'll help you learn mindfulness meditation. And mindfulness meditation will help you practice that skill of being in tune with what's going on inside of yourself, both in your body and in your mind and in your emotions. And the more that you are cultivating awareness of what's happening inside yourself, the more opportunities for making decisions and controlling your actions you have. Because if you're just mindless, you feel hungry, so you start eating a donut, and you never even think about it, you're just automatic. You never had a choice. You never had a choice to eat the donut or to eat something else or just to wait till dinner. You just automatically acted. Practicing mindfulness gives you those choices. It gives you those moments of awareness that allow you to be in your rational mind, observing what's going on inside of yourself, and to make a choice rather than just acting automatically. I'm not religious, but it feels like some kind of hostile demonic being is tempting me to masturbate. Those thoughts almost feel foreign, and I must consciously reject them. I get that. A lot of people do feel that way. My path toward more holistic recovery, for me personally, I don't mean that everyone has to do this, but for me personally, it required that I stopped seeing that part of myself as demonic or evil and accepted that part of myself as worthy and as having worthy desires. And I needed to understand why that part of myself wanted to act out on those desires in unhealthy ways, and accept and incorporate that part of myself into myself so that I wasn't constantly at war with myself, so that I was more unified and able to move forward in a unified, healthy way. Easier said than done, of course, but that was a mindset shift that helped me in that regard. Can I use light CBD during flatline? I know of no reason why that would be harmful. I'm skeptical about CBD. I think it might be a bit of a placebo effect for a lot of people, but I haven't seen any evidence that CBD is harmful, so go for it. I have PIED due to femdom addiction. Can I ever recover from that? If you saw my latest video on this channel, I go all into that question. You know, those escalated fetishes like femdom or sissification or transsexual pornography, and the distress that people feel over having escalated to that in their porn use, and what can they do about it. So go watch that most recent video. People seem to like it. All right, we're getting close to the end here. Answer a few more questions, then I'm going to say goodbye. What advice do you recommend a newly porn-free individual who is single by choice or struggles to find a partner, particularly from dealing with sexual frustration and being aroused? Okay. Yeah, well, if relationship or dating or sexual intimacy isn't on the table for whatever reason, maybe it's by choice, maybe it's just lack of opportunity, then you basically have two options. You can be celibate, and your body might just naturally ejaculate from time to time with nocturnal emissions or wet dreams. Or you can choose to cultivate a healthier relationship with porn-free masturbation in your life. And again, search that video, Is Masturbation Healthy or Not, on my channel, and I'll go deep into that subject. But it is totally possible, and it can be helpful for some. For a lot of people, masturbation and pornography use are tight, like they've been inseparable for their entire lives. And it can be a helpful step forward for them to learn how to get in tune with their own sexuality by masturbating porn-free, separated from not only the screen and the direct consumption of pornography, but from the porn-inspired fantasies, and getting more in tune with your own internal fantasies and what you actually want, or just enjoying the physical sensations and not fantasizing about anything at all. How do you get rid of a sexual fantasy so you can have a healthy sex drive? Again, you should watch that last video that I posted to the channel because I go into that. But I'll also bring you back to mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches you how to notice and observe and accept thoughts that you don't really want. And instead of pushing them away, just observing them until they naturally pass, or gently refocusing your attention and your energy to something else right in front of you that you do want to be focusing on. So you don't need to whip that thought out of your mind. You don't need to punish yourself when those fantasies arise. You just need to notice it and gently refocus on the present moment and on what you want to be focusing on. And you can bring that same skill into the bedroom and in intimacy. Instead of being in your head with some fantasy that you've been holding on to or nurturing with pornography use, just bring yourself back to the present. Enjoy the present experiences of being with that person and follow your desires in the present moment. Does one discover true libido during nofap? That's the idea. That's the idea, is to rediscover your true sexuality and get back to that in this process. And, there's no way of knowing at this point in your life what sex or what your own libido would feel like if you never used porn. But we can't change the past. What we can do is move into the future, choose a porn-free future, and get back as much as possible to our own internal sense of sexuality and desire. And that's what a lot of us are doing this for. And yeah, a lot of people find that. My group of friends are very misogynist and addicted to weed and alcohol. I realize that my low self-esteem happens because I don't achieve what they consider success, having sex. How can I change them? How can you change other people? People will either change themselves or not change. You cannot directly change them. You can maybe hope to inspire them by changing yourself. A lot of them probably won't be inspired. They might cut you off. They might not want to be around someone who makes them feel like they're not good enough. Like you start your own journey of self-improvement. You're maybe working out. You're not using drugs anymore or alcohol. You're not using porn. You're focusing on self-improvement. You're bringing healthier relationships into your life. Maybe you even get a girlfriend. Those friends who are addicted to substances and maybe casual sex, maybe never had a real loving relationship, never had a romantic partner who loved them, who they were in love with, they might make fun of what you're doing because they don't want to face that what they're doing is actually empty and that they probably need to change themselves. There's a lot of truth to that old piece of wisdom that you become the average of the people that you spend the most time with. And if the people around you right now, your friends, are living lifestyles that you don't want anymore, I'm not saying that you have to tell them like, I never want to see you again, but you can gradually start distancing yourself from them, refusing some invitations to hang out, spend more time with yourself, working on yourself, and of course, cultivating new relationships with people who inspire you, who you want to be more like, not less like. There. That's my advice on that. What would you say is the best thing you can do for your sexual health? Stop using porn. Easy one. All right, gentlemen. I'm going to call it there. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. If I didn't get to your questions and you have a question that's burning and you want me to answer in the future, you can sign up for my email newsletter. Just go to the link tree down below, get my free PDF of my ebook, and then you'll get notices about these lives coming up. And you can email me your question, and I'll make sure to answer it. I'll record it in this document. Have a wonderful weekend. Go do something amazing. Go out in nature. Be a real person. Touch some grass. Much love to you. See you next time.